So before we start, I just want to introduce you really quick to the members of my band. This is a Candy Store Henchman. This is Charter Mace on percussion. This is Chip Nipple on plastic horn. This is Sark Spitzkin on violin. And this is Dr. Nothing on keyboards. We're going to do a composition called Loop Mail. Valentina Bella, Friday, November 1, 2013, 7:31 p.m.
Guys, do you have any thoughts about the thing we are supposed to do for institutional memory? Personally, I haven't even looked at the handout yet, but I attached my stupid essay, not really an essay, more of a collection of informal thoughts for you to read, and I think that maybe we could use some tricksters. Okay, I just read the assignment. It's a disaster. I have no energy or time for this.
Yiddish, Friday, November 1, 2013, 7:56 p.m. I'm with you, Valentina. I'm writing the paper right now and I'm having trouble wrapping this thing around my head. I think after I finish this paper, which hopefully be a couple hours, I might have some thoughts about the second assignment. Leonardo Salvaggio, Friday, November 1, 2013, 8:48 p.m.
Hey everyone. I don't know if this will help, but I just kind of made a really strong stance in reaction to the position statement, and then dug my heels in staunchly. It might actually be total bullshit, but when I reread it, it sounded a lot like French theorist bullshit, which is the best kind. I think negotiating the assignment is actually the problem in the lesson. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's what I did. I have some super preliminary thoughts about assignment 2, but I need to formulate them. One thing we might want to consider is what particular institution we want to model the activity after. I was thinking American culture might be a funny one because it's difficult to even think of our kind of citizenship as institutional.
Valentina Bella, Saturday, November 2nd, 2013, 6:02 p.m.
I think this Robin guy uses the word institution a little too lightly. Everything is an institution to him, even this stupid assignment. But we haven't really spent that much time understanding what an institution actually is. In my essay, which is the worst piece of writing ever, because who has time to waste on papers? Not me. I challenge the idea that art making is an institution. It's really a basic human activity like sleeping, eating, having sex. The art world is an institution for sure though, or rather a macro institution made up of smaller, proper institutions. My theory is that an institution is an artificial society that we enter in order to gain benefits of various kinds. So if we make art with the intent to engage the art world, then our art making will definitely be affected one way or another. The other important point I make is that institutions are almost always highly hierarchical, even though there are ways to get to the top eventually. By the time we get there, we have internalized the voice of the previous kings, so we are unlikely to bring about any significant changes. I agree with Theo about the fact that the lesson here is that we are supposed to challenge the assignment. Robin is an outsider and has been put in a position of power in an institution. Since he comes from a different place, he hasn't internalized the voice of previous Columbia College rulers. He feels a little lost and conflicted. Maybe he wants to promote real change, and he's in a position to actually do it if he wanted to. He can see this place with the fresh eyes of someone who doesn't belong. But something is holding him back. I think this class is some sort of weird psychotherapy session for Mr. Barger. Maybe we can challenge this stupid assignment institution, and the activity could be a psychotherapy session. Instead of responding to one of our class members' results from assignment 1, I say we should respond to Robin Barger himself. Him as an artifact. Maybe, instead of a psychotherapy session, it can be a trial. We take turns interrogating him. The rest of the class would be the jury. At the end, they have to come up with a verdict.
Valentina Bella, Saturday, November 2nd, 2013, 6:17 p.m.
Also, this whole class plans real art. Basically, we have 40 minutes to do anything we want. So we could do something crazy and beautiful, like sing stuff and read poems and whatnot for 5 minutes. And then done, we stand up and say, Robin Barger, you are under arrest. You will be tried right now by a jury of peers. And we say all the things we didn't like about the class and what we think he's really trying to do with it. And we try to delve deep inside the psyche of our dean. Maybe the point is that we, as students, are not quite part of the institution, so we're able to critique it in a way that full members are able to do because of the blindness that comes with belonging to it. When you are paid for services, tuition, you're not a full member. A member is someone who gets paid by the institution, who has been accepted inside of it as a spokesperson/teacher.
Valentina Bella, Saturday, November 2nd, 2013, 6:21 p.m.
We could even have a portrait artist make sketches of him, like in those trials in which photography is not allowed, and someone to transcribe the position. So at the end, we have the transcript and the drawings, and we can just hang it all on the wall with all the other stupid stuff.
Leo Salvadio, Saturday, November 2nd, 2013, 8:20 p.m.
Valentina, you are so funny. I hear what you're saying, and it's smart, but I would like to pass the class. LOL.
Sid Yiddish, Saturday, November 2nd, 2013, 8:22 p.m. I don't know about that, Leo. I think Barger would be amused and might pass us if we did something like that. Valentina Bella, Saturday, November 2nd, 2013, 9:34 p.m.
I don't think we would pass the class. Probably hopes that someone will challenge it. This is the whole point of the class.
Sid Yiddish, Sunday, November 3rd, 2013, 9:12 p.m. Are we figuring out what we're doing as an exercise, and are we meeting any time this week? Leonardo Salvagio, Monday, November 4th, 2013, 8:08 a.m.
Hey guys, I'm with Annette today installing her show. Could we meet Tuesday night around 8 or Wednesday after 6?
Sid Yiddish, Monday, November 4th, 2013, 8:15 a.m. Tuesday is doable for me. Valentina Bella, Monday, November 4th, 2013, 10:20 a.m.
Evenings are extremely difficult for me. Is lunchtime a possibility? I also think we should brainstorm some ideas, some ideas by email before meeting. Otherwise, we aren't likely to come up with a definitive plan when we meet. Another idea that I have is that we could pretend that Robin Barger is King Harald of Norway. A little history lesson. In the 9th century, King Harald decided to become king of everything. So a lot of people moved to Iceland. Once they got to Iceland, they created a very different society with no central state. A system of chieftains who all meet at the Althing, some sort of proto-parliament. In many ways, it was a much simplified society with no cities or taxes or law enforced by supreme authority. They solved their issues locally, creating local alliances and trying to deal with a harsh landscape and limited local resources. They also produced a stunningly beautiful literature. I am not saying that we need to be philological here. Just imagine a situation in which we distance ourselves from a motherland and create a new society elsewhere while being aware of the shortcomings of the other way of doing things. Imagining an island is preferable because it creates a self-contained world and because it's naturally protected from enemies, thus making the need for an all-powerful king that could assemble an army less pressing. Now, I have no idea what the activity might be. Maybe the point is to show that only an institution with no supreme leader can be an institution. Maybe each student is given a name and a parcel of land, and we create some activity we engage in. At some point, one of us might start to gain power over the other, so the rest of us get on a ship and leave to a new island. Because the constitution of our state says that there can be no king, so we keep creating a state somewhere else. Maybe another article of the constitution says that there can be no writing. It needs to be an oral society. Eventually, Iceland was conquered by Denmark, so they lost their independence and they became literate because of Christianity, but they had a much better life before that. There could be some fun role-playing, enacting feuds and battles, and reciting oral poetry. Keep up some count. Pretty guys, I have no clue, just trying to help.
Valentina Bella, Monday, November 4th, 2013, 10:30 a.m.
I also think that it's important to pay attention to the language of the handout he gave us. He talks about making an institution. And then he says that the class assignment is an institution we can tackle. Here I see a clear invitation to unmake the assignment. If we limit ourselves to following his directions carefully, then we're not making an about the possibility of not getting stagnant or turning into dictatorship. Consensus is a good way to stay away from dictatorship. But consensus becomes impractical once the institution grows large. At the class level, it will still be possible to operate by consensus. No decisions can be made unless everyone agrees. Until then, we have to keep discussing. The topics don't matter, we can make them as surreal as we want. Maybe we try to write a collective poem together and everyone has veto power. In the end, we have a poem that will most likely suck. So the experiment fails. Or maybe it works, who knows? After all, we're a fairly homogeneous group. But we show how difficult it is to work on things pretending that our brains are one brain.
Sid Yiddish, Tuesday, November 5th, 2013, 12:42 a.m. I've been reading your emails, Valentina, and I really like the idea of a trial. That fascinated me a lot. I can be at Columbia, it's closer to 1 p.m. Either of you who want to meet. I have meetings in mid-afternoon and the evening, so I'll be there if need be. Leonardo Salvaggio, Tuesday, November 5th, 2013, 9:15 a.m.
Hey guys, yes, the trial thing sounds interesting. I can't do lunchtime today, but I could do Wednesday around 12:30 if that works.
Valentina Bella, Tuesday, November 5th, 2013, 2:41 p.m.
Let's meet tomorrow at 12:30 over some food.
Valentina Bella, Tuesday, November 5th, 2013, 2:59 p.m.
Also, Ahmed is really pissed about Columbia as an institution right now. We could have him as a witness.
Sid Yiddish, Tuesday, November 5th, 2013, 3:24 p.m. To you both. I have class at 12:30. I have a break between 3:30 to 6:30 p.m. Valentina Bella, Tuesday, November 5th, 2013, 3:32 p.m.
Ouch! I can be at 3:30, but I don't know about Leo.
Leonardo Salvaggio, Tuesday, November 5th, 2013, 3:58 p.m.
Sounds good!
Valentina Bella, Tuesday, November 5th, 2013, 4:07 p.m.
At 3:30 now?
Leonardo Salvaggio, Tuesday, November 5th, 2013, 4:26 p.m.
Hi guys, sorry, I didn't see Sid's email. I have class at 3:30. Maybe Valentina, you and I could meet at 12:30, and then you and Sid could meet at 3:30. You do seem to have the best handle on the idea. I can help you refine it tomorrow, and then Sid can do the same later in the day. What do you think?
Valentina Bella, Tuesday, November 5th, 4:41 p.m.
This could be problematic, but we don't have much of a choice.
Leonardo Salvaggio, Tuesday, November 5th, 2013, 4:49 p.m.
Agreed. To be honest, these scheduling issues is why I raised my concern about a group project in the first place. But I think it will be fine. In some ways, I think you have the best handle on the subject, Valentina. While this might not be an ideal collaboration, me and Sid can act as a filtration system for your initial idea. I think the product of that process will be very interesting and worth showing in class. I'm going to spend tonight thinking about it before we meet tomorrow.
Valentina Bella, Tuesday, November 5th, 5:35 p.m.
Great. I'm worried about the media artifact thing.
Valentina Bella, Tuesday, November 5th, 2013, 10:38 p.m.
One of the things we should consider is how we can start the presentation. Maybe we need to perform a little collection piece. Do you guys have something that can be read aloud, / played, that can contribute to the media artifact? Maybe now or one. Also, I now have a million doubts about the trial idea, so remind me one quick idea. I'm so tired and lost. Should we have a plan B? Anyway, I guess meet Leo at 12:30 and Sid at 3:30. My number is 215-470-6131. Let me text message so I have your number.
Valentina Bella, Tuesday, November 5th, 2013, 10:51 p.m.
Also, Wikipedia has some stuff that might be useful. Organizational structure determines the training requirements and expectations of behavior associated with various roles. This is part of the implicit institutional knowledge. Progress towards higher echelons requires assimilation of this. When outsiders enter the high level, effectiveness tends to deteriorate. This morale is unjustly ignored. So maybe what we're focusing in on in our presentation is the specific thing that happens when an outsider, our dear Mr. Robin Barker entered the institution at a high level without fire simulation.
Leonardo Salvaggio, Tuesday, November 5th, 2013, 11:03 p.m.
Okay, so I have just reread all the emails, and I'm not really convinced that the trial is a good idea. While the idea of putting Robin on trial sounds really cathartic right now, LOL, I'm not sure it's the way to go. I'm thinking about what Valentina said about the language of the assignment, and it being an opportunity to break from the assignment rules. I was also thinking about what she said about consensus, which I agree with and wrote about in my essay as well. I think the institution that we should be examining is the classroom. The classroom has its own syntax, where students sit, where the professor teaches from, how we absorb information, the expectation of our product assignments. All of these things create a type of institutional memory, I think. Why isn't a class playful or kinesthetic in nature? Why do we sit? Why do we wait to speak? Why does the teacher have authority, etc.? What if we developed a process for allowing the class to decide what the assignment actually is? Facilitate a way to use consensus to determine the group's activity for about 40 minutes. In this way, we challenge the very idea of a workshop as instructional. And through the breakdown of our assumptions of what instructional means, we may learn something about the institutional memory of the classroom. Thoughts? Question mark? Also, my digits are 201-704-8520.
Valentina Bella, Tuesday, November 5th, 2013, 11:21 p.m.
I think you're absolutely right. But I think that we can start this activity by reading some of these emails that we send to each other. It's the prelude. So we threaten the trial, we talk about our discontent, and we set the stage for the real activity, which is the negotiation of what we'll do in the remaining time. The consensus might be that we just want to sing karaoke.
Leo Salvaggio, Tuesday, November 5th, 2013, 11:23 p.m. Valentina Bella, Tuesday, November 5th, 2013, 11:37 p.m.
I think reading these emails would end up being a pretty funny performance. Here you have the artifact. Sid didn't write a whole lot, but he made his positions and his discontent with the class very clear. I wonder whether you, Sid, might be interested, besides reading your emails, in providing a musical background to the performance. It will be a dialogue with words and sounds.
Sid Yiddish, Tuesday, November 5th, 2013, 11:38 p.m. That's what an institutional is. Our institution is tonal anarchy, ending with song. Sid Yiddish, Tuesday, November 5th, 11:43 p.m. I could provide a soundtrack, both sound and instrumental, if need be. I'm a little bundled by the whole class myself. It's a bit of a farce. I've been following your emails, reading and rereading them, and they've almost become intertwined like a grapevine with all these little branches spurting out everywhere, like improvisation, full composition. Sid Yiddish, Tuesday, November 5th, 2013, 11:45 p.m. If I'm able to get a few guys together on short notice, would you two be okay with me bringing in a kind of orchestra effect to our presentation? Valentina Bella, Tuesday, November 5th, 2013.
I think we nailed it.
Valentina Bella, Tuesday, November 5th, 2013, 11:47 p.m.
The orchestra effect is a wonderful idea.
Sid Yiddish, Tuesday, November 5th, 11:47 p.m. By the way, Valentina, Leo, how are we really supposed to pronounce Robin's last name?
Woo! Woohoo!
Seems like the class wants to clap for the rest of the 40 minutes. Say aye.
Alright, all those opposed?
What?
All those opposed?
Opposed to clapping the minutes.
Say nay.
That would be a little tiring.
So
figuring in.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're not hot.
Questions? Comments? Nothing?
Is it everybody goes and then we critique?
I'd like to go to Caribou for the rest of our 40 minutes. Yay?
I'm following what I understand so far, which is that the performance was the first part, and then there's going to be some kind of discussion afterwards.
Yeah.
So I hope after everything that I just heard that you're not waiting for me to say what's going to happen next.
No, we're not.
Well,
Everybody is equal power right now.
yeah, so I'm proposing we go to Caribou for the, what, is it like next 15 minutes, I think, so, yay.
As a new class, are we participating?
We have to have full.
I could say only one thing, which is that
I know Travis.
as a composer who had lots of music pieces played, the thing I hated the most was when the performance is finished, somebody would come up to you and they'd say, "Nice piece," and they wouldn't say anything else. So I think that having the responses of people who have been listening and all would be really, really helpful. Whether we can do that at Caribou or they can do it here. I mean, I could definitely use a coffee. I just got off a plane after 13 hours. So,
Did the musical accompaniment help your dialogues?
Or did it hinder? Did it hinder your
Did
dialogue?
it help you
Was it just-
frame a sort of...
But the hindrance is a help.
I feel like it actually made me pay more attention.
Yeah.
So if people were just reading things in a microphone, I would have zoned out. But instead, the music reminded me that like I couldn't just blend into the wall and focus on taping my rectangles.
that's a great question. I mean, I think it's one of the questions, right? Did anybody any time, did the question about the performance of the music persist with you, or did you somehow adapt to the performance? I mean,
Well, like, if somebody's just talking and being angsty, then you're like, okay, how do I respond? But like, because there's music, it's more just like you just like watch and enjoy it. Yeah, you just get like, I just got really calm, and yeah, it was just nice.
It's the first time anybody's ever said
I
music
like
is-
words over
That's nice.
music, so I found it difficult to focus on what you were saying because the music was so loud and cantankerous. So I had to fight through that to hear because you're hilarious, like hilarious. So for me, it was a little bit more distracting than helpful. I would have listened to, but I like lectures, so I would have listened to you say this anyway. I like your voice.
I was not just paying attention to whatever Sid was doing. I was also getting cues from people who were speaking, and that I prefer multimedia performances because then different mediums can play off of each other. At least there's that potential.
Yeah, the thing about the band is they more or less have to trust each other when they're playing and trust what's going on around them to understand the cues. And I'll be honest with you, I've never done a piece like this before where I've had to concentrate on the band and on the voice and on the script, so it's definitely par for the course.
Does that make you feel anxious? No?
I thought that the symmetry of the positioning of the two kind of people reading, and here's the conductor, who's also like one of you, but he's also doing this other role, and having the space in between filled in by this other set of like phenomena happening. I thought that worked out really, really well. It's like having a Greek chorus on one side. I thought really that whole aspect was maybe it just happened by accident, but I don't think so. I mean, somehow at the last minute, or the first minute, you guys decided to arrange yourselves in this way. I mean, the stands were already set up when I came in, so somebody made that decision. Do you think that for someone who wasn't in the class, that they would enjoy the text as much as those of you who are in the class would have a reason to enjoy the text?
No, it just sounds like open hostility otherwise.
Oh,
You don't know
mean
the-
you might,
you don't
just
know the
take it
target.
literally?
Well, you don't know who it is that they're angry at
Uh-huh.
or why they've opted to be in graduate school.
Well, there's a universal.
Oh, wait, I want to hear what Brent has to say about
There's
this.
a universal relatability. I mean, we've all had instructors who were confusing, and we were trying to figure out what their assignment was, and this very much made that point clear. And we've all been there, so.
I mean, it reminded me very much of being a graduate student. And I mean, I really, I mean, my feeling was that it wasn't mapped that much to this particular class, particularly because your narrative informs it with enough background that it's clear what you're frustrated about, at least in these little windows. You open up these little windows of reference to what you're frustrated about.
Well, I feel like your ideas about institution are actually very interesting. You articulate them, so once you've got your venting out about why you're mad about having to think about it, you actually already did the assignment and thought about it. And then, but it's also like very self-reflective and postmodern because it's like you're reading the eye chats and the communication of the thing that's happening and it's all being recorded. And I can't deal with this.
That would happen after 2 years of grad school. You become this person.
I'm a high school dropout, so I don't understand the context or the in-jokes. However, there was a lot of historical perspective and philosophy in there that I could pick up on in a general way, so I got the gist of it, and I thought it was pretty good satire.
You might know this already, but being a graduate student and being a high school dropout is how there's a lot of life.
That's why I picked up on it.
Am I supposed to be you?
Well, you can be, we're having now discussing a performance about, so, would you like to give your discussion of performance?
There'll be another assignment in this performance.
So you could be in another, there's another one we're gonna have in a minute. What they're doing is they're each giving a lesson about what this class is about. So this is we're in the middle of one of the classes. So if you have time to stay.
Yeah, I have to be back about 2:15.
So what time is it now? So
Like
you have
10 after.
So you have time to catch the next one, which actually Courtney's in another group, so. Okay. So if you'll just sit down, we're actually discussing something that just happened.
We're debriefing now.
Basically, all the hostility that everybody ever had about this class and every graduate class they ever had, just got a musical, it was just set to music.
I love hostility as a performance.
Go ahead and sit, you can sit.
That's a quote for the day. I love hostility.